Well, it is that time of the week again where we talk about your life, your money, your future, your retirement. And today on the show, I am joined by Martin McGrath. Welcome back.
Good to be back.
Hey, Hazel wrote a question, and we'll start right there. Can you please do a podcast on work bonus and how it works, as I'm unsure if I should continue working after 67 in 2027? Hazel, nope, not doing a podcast. We're not doing it, Hazel. Sorry.
We spend an hour talking about this, we'd put people to sleep.
Yeah, but we will talk about it. She has about 650,000 in super. Congratulations, well done. Her husband has about 120K, 65K early by budget. What's that mean?
Either ahead of where they thought they're at, or 65 is what they need per year to live off.
Okay, cool. Yeah.
One or the other.
Yeah. Husband currently on a part pension. He's 75. So she's 27, 25, 26. So she's like 65, 64, 65.
Yep.
Yeah. So talk to us, I mean, the work bonus. I might actually say, before I get you to explain the mechanics, if you are 67 in 2027, we'll assume, you've both done well, you've got a good income, Hazel, because you've got a really good super balance. Husband's got a good super balance. He's on a part pension, and you've obviously both worked hard. I think you'll be fine, financially speaking. We'll assume that you own your house because you haven't mentioned anything.
Otherwise,
but we don't know that. Even if there was a $100,000 mortgage left or $200,000, I think you'll be fine. If you want to work a couple of days a week after age 67, knock yourself out just because you want to.
Lifestyle reasons, not...
It's not, I don't want, because the benefits you get from society and all the research is there about, purpose, dignity, getting out of the house, all that stuff. You let the Centrelink cards fall as they may. We're not living our life around getting an extra $20 a week from Centrelink if we go to work for a week and get an extra $100 and get all the other benefits.
Yep.
So that would be my encouragement to you, Hazel. If you want to work, do so. Looking at your situation, I don't know, if you think you might need 65K a year, I think you'll be fine in a few years when you hang up the tools. But if we now get to the brass tacks, is that what they say?
I've heard of that. Yeah.
I think. What is the work bonus, Martin?
So I agree with you. There's a financial part of the question, but I'd put that to the side, but we'll answer that now. So when you go onto the age pension or look at the Centrelink age pension, there are two tests. There's the asset test, which is how much assets do you have, and that's been covered in other podcasts, so I'll move on. And then there's the income test. So the income test is made up of usually a deemed return on your financial assets. So how much have you got in the bank and shares and super, and a assumed return on that. But then also, what wages are you earning? And you need to report that to Centrelink on a regular basis. Centrelink will then take that into their calculation as to how much age pension you get. That's where the work bonus comes in. So what the work bonus is a $300 employment threshold per fortnight that is excluded, i.e., another way to say that a bit simpler is the first $300 you earn in a fortnight, Centrelink are going to ignore. They just don't even take it into the calculation. $300 per fortnight for a couple. So if you're both working, that's still the cap. And the way it works is that if you don't use it or you don't use the full amount, you have a work bonus bank or a work bonus balance, and that can actually accrue over time. So if you're earning the same amount every week, it probably doesn't really matter. But if you're a bit seasonal, or you might work for 4 or 6 weeks and then you jump in your caravan, you go away for 3 months and you don't work, that can actually build up over time. So when you come back, you might have $5,000 in your work bonus. So the first $5,000 you earn next time doesn't get factored in. So that's at a high level. So then breaking that down, I'll do an example. Let's say someone's earning $500 a fortnight, part pension or part-time work, a day or two a week equals 500 a fortnight. The first 300, Centrelink go, that's all right, you get to keep all that 300. We're only going to look at the 200 that's above the 500. If you've got a bit in your work bank or work balance, then they'll ignore the 200 as well. But let's say you've run that down to zero, they will reduce your pension by that 200 above their work balance. About 50 cents, or basically half what you earn, will reduce. So summarising that another way is that I think you could earn 500 in a fortnight and you're going to lose about $100 of age pension that fortnight. So you're still ahead by $400 by working. If you didn't work, you get an extra 100. So don't work at all, you get 100. You do work, you still end up getting 400.
And it goes back to, based on what we can assume their financial situation, after age 67, it's the work optional just for fun, for social things.
Yeah.
I will say a couple of things on that. If you are new to the show, recently we did two episodes, episode 331 and 332 on Centrelink. We had Justin Bott from Services Australia come into the studio. That guy's a machine. I can't believe the stuff that he knows and knew. So have a listen to those. And then secondly, if in doubt, if you want to drill down deeper, go and talk to Centrelink, their financial information officers.
Yep.
And they'll give you all the information in the world.
Yeah.
And it's free.
Yeah.
So knock yourself out. Well, Martin, let's do a show called Retire right now.
This is a podcast that will help you plan and execute one of the biggest moments in your life. That's retirement. You'll learn how to set up your finances in a way that benefits you, your lifestyle goals, and keeps you in the know within this complex world of money and investing. Your host is Glen James, former financial advisor, author, and host of the popular Money, Money, Money podcast. Glen is joined by experts in various fields around the topic of retirement in Australia. Any advice in this podcast is of a general nature. Full details are in the show notes of this episode. You only retire once, so retire right.
Okay, this is a big question.
I'll relax while you read.
Yeah, you relax.
It, yeah.
Go and make a cup of tea or coffee, and I'll read this, and then we will totally unpack it because I think we could have a bit of fun here, but also try and tell people some serious stuff as well. And always, we thank you for sending in your questions. Okay, Dave. I just finished listening to your potty with Vince re wrap accounts, and that episode was 322 for those who want to go back and have a listen. Great episode, and thanks for addressing the questions I threw in the Facebook post. I'm offering myself up as a what would Glen do scenario. Now, on the Money, Money, Money podcast, I'll interview someone, and it's a WWGD, and I just tell them what I would do. So I won't interview you, Dave. We'll just chew about stuff here because you've given us a heap of info.
A bit of detail there.
So I'm 47. In the 10 years plus from accessing Super Camp, in 2014, I became a single parent raising 3 kids, and the divorce took the majority of my super so I could keep a manageable mortgage on the house. In 2017, I sorted out my super, moved away from CFS, that's Colonial First State. Both I and the ex received payouts from the class action, and he moved the CFS to Host Plus Choice Plus, which basically the Choice Plus, you can direct what you want to do.
Choose some investments.
The podcast around the hour mark talks a lot about the options available in Choice Plus. I forget what we talked about, but we'll go with it. Choice Plus is a member-directed investment that gave me the options of self-managed super fund and wrap accounts that I was looking for at the time, i.e. direct investments into ETFs. I don't know how things were going to go financially, so I didn't go to the quote-unquote fancy options. Decision-making under uncertainty. At the time, I modelled the Host Plus Balance Index Fund for my portfolio, but in that way was 100% equities. I worked with the limited choice, quote unquote, and the requirement to hold 20% in Host Plus products. So I'll just pause there with the Choice Plus option, and we covered this in numerous episodes. Because there's a trustee, there's a responsibility that they have to make sure
certain limits and requirements,
and that some of these products, whether it's this or Superhero or any of those member-driven things, like they say you've got to have at least a portion in a bread and butter mixed fund. Yep. So in this, it's a 20% holding in Host Plus products. Okay, things have gone well, and I now have a significant super balance, $1 million plus. Wow, that's awesome. As well as significant unrealized CGT liability, $40K plus, that I would lose if I moved to a wrap. As the Clash said, should I stay or should I go? What's the Clash? Oh, I must have banned.
Yeah.
Sorry, I'm not 47, a bit younger. Should I stay or should I go to a wrap account? What would Glen do? Because IDKWISD, I don't know what I should do. All right. Well, there's a lot going on there.
And well done to Dave. Yeah. Great position to be in.
And also not much going on there at the same time. When we distill it down, we've got a 47-year-old male. He's got 3 kids. Don't know the ages. He's got a ton in super. CG liability of $40K, which based on a ton or $1 million, I'll call that bugger all, but that's just me. What would you be saying to someone like Dave if they walked into your office?
This is a product question, and it goes back to what's the plan, what's the strategy, what are we achieving? We need to figure out the high level before we get stuck into the detail. So when is Dave retiring? Is he on track or not? What does retirement look like? Is the mortgage under control? I'm assuming contributions have been pumping in a lot to build up that balance. So we need to understand that big picture before we figure out which is the right product to be in or not, and what are the right investments to be in or not. That should potentially solve itself through that process. But I suppose what Dave's saying, or what I'm interpreting from this, is that he doesn't, if he had his time over again today, he wouldn't be in what he's in, but he feels a bit trapped because of this potential tax issue. But also going to go, well, how many more years have I got ahead of me? Do I stay in this for the next 5, 10, 20 years if I don't think it's where I should be? Or do I just rip the Band-Aid off knowing that, yes, I've been in it for 10 years or 15 years, but I've got 30 or 40 years ahead of my life that I'd prefer to be in a different product, but I would only answer that after we've sorted out all of those foundation and what I call strategy and structure questions.
Yeah, I'm not going to sit here and tell Dave what he should do, but I'm going to maybe read between the lines for the purpose of entertainment. I want Dave to look at the Dunning-Kruger effect, because I always think about this when it comes to investing. Like, my equity portfolio in my self-managed super fund, I don't manage that.
Yeah.
I pay because, I don't know, I'm not a fund manager.
Yeah.
Like, why, Dave, do you think you personally can manage $1 million well? Hey, you might.
Yeah. And the evidence may be the case, but just because you have doesn't mean you always will.
Yeah.
And I'm the same. I don't pick stocks in my own portfolio, let alone in clients' portfolios, because that's not where I think the value is added. And back to those kind of studies. And if you and I aren't doing it, then should many other people be doing it? That's still a personal preference. You want to have confidence in one investing and understanding it.
Yeah.
But I do often see that there's some risks that come with that.
Because the problem is, Dave, this is exactly it. Dave's actually looking for a product solution before anything else. And I want to say to Dave, are you a fund manager or not? Do you want to DIY your own portfolio? If the answer is yes, go for it. Pick somewhere that will give you the most flexibility to do that. It could be the Host Plus thing. It might not be. But the way, like, there's some reports, and I say them every now and again. If you take the view that I want to manage my money myself, what happens is you'll be too scared to sell a winner when you need to rebalance, and you'll hold on to a dog for too long thinking it will recover.
Yeah.
So what I would say is there's a report from Berkeley in the US. It's called Trading is Hazardous to Your Wealth. And it basically says those who freaking keep their mitts off their money actually do better than those who want to dick around with it.
Chop and chat. Oh, this super fund was best last year. I better change over to that one.
Yeah. Russell having a report about using a third party to help manage, and also the Vanguard Advisor Alpha. Mm-hmm. So basically the data is saying if you don't do it and you have someone else do it and there's rules in place, rebalancing, risk profile, you'll actually do better over the long term. I can see Dave is very much prone to analysis paralysis, and that's not good when it comes to $1 million of wealth. Maybe the answer is, Dave, you carve out a big portion of your super, call it 900 grand. Even if you put it in the bloody Host Plus balanced fund, let them manage it for you, and you dick around with 100 grand. Knock yourself out.
Yeah, and Dave's done very well to be in the position he is, but I think Dave's got in that position probably not by picking one or two specky stocks, because Choice Plus or Host Plus wouldn't let him. It's because of the other foundation elements of he's been pumping money into super and concessionals, I would imagine, to get to this balance. He has been in picking the right sector, etc. But even if Dave, we don't need to, but if Dave looked at his performance versus the market over the last period of time, it's probably just been in line with, or potentially above, but probably in line or below the market. It's not because of potentially the one or two holdings in the portfolio. It's because of the other stuff that Dave's got right, and so it's not the product that's driven the solution or the outcome. It's the overall discipline that Dave's had to be in this strong position. And then in turn, I don't think the product is going to fix or solve the next 10 or 20 years for Dave either. But he needs to be comfortable with what he's set up his investments in.
And Dave, don't be deceived by fees, because the facts are that cheapest fee in investment land doesn't mean better performance. It's simply, and actually just in our terms of our episode planning, there is another question in the next episode that we'll do that we talk about this. The Host Plus Balanced Fund, which is effectively multi-portfolio, active fund, it's probably, I don't even know the fee, it'd be 0.6 or 0.8%. It's actually more expensive than the indexed balanced. But over the last 10 years, after fees and tax, the balanced one did 8.32% to June, end of June, and the index one did 7.83%.
Wow.
So if you paid more, you would have got a better outcome. And I dare say you would have less volatility because of the unlisted assets and the infrastructure and all that in those one-stop shop portfolios.
Yeah, I did analysis over the 2025 financial year. We have a few preferred portfolios that we use for clients that we do not manage in-house. They're managed externally. And the portfolio that we use for a majority of our clients, I had a look at the last 12 months, that he's outperformed the index, which is great. But the thing that's most important for me is there were 4 negative months in the index, and each of those 4 negative months, the portfolio fell substantially less than the index.
Yeah.
The cost of that portfolio is not expensive, but it is more than if you were just in the index. And similar to your point there of going, well, if we were just going to the lowest cost, then you're going to have a lot of volatility, and some people maybe are okay to ride that, but most aren't. And also, I think once you get into retirement and you're living off that money, it's maybe beneficial to pay a bit more in fees to have less volatility and ideally still get the same return overall, but in often many cases you're getting a better return overall, even after accounting for the fees you've paid.
Yeah.
If you're looking at an after-fee return, still a higher level.
Yeah. I think what I would do, because I guess he's asking what I would do in his situation, but again, take this with 50 grains of salt because I don't know his broader situation. I'm either moving the money to the balanced growth option or something like that and just leave it there and get on with your life. Or, and actually I probably would do this, I'd go and see a financial advisor, get a good model portfolio managed on a wrap account. If it costs $5,000 a year or $6,000 as a flat fee for them to manage the money, full transparency and all that, I'm doing that all day long.
Yeah.
You've got over $1 million in super. You're allowed to pay $5,000, $6,000 a year in fees.
We're talking about 0.5%.
Yeah, like what are we doing here? What are we doing? Money's not your problem. The problem is if you keep your mitts on this and try and manage it yourself, it might look like I got some good returns and all that. You won't be able to really model it well on, some of these online super fund portfolios anyway. Yeah. It's too much at stake to be doing yourself. I'm in the money world. I use Life Sherpa Invest, use Vince's portfolios. That's what I do. It's rebalanced quarterly. There's some ETF.
No personal connection. There we go.
There's unlisted managed funds that I couldn't get access to elsewhere. There's a bit of gold in there, a bit of spice, and it's great. So, yeah, I'm just not dicking around with that. We'll be right back after this.
If you're after personal financial advice, don't get it from a podcast. If you would like help based on your own personal situation, head over to retireright.com.au, click Get Help, and we'd be happy to introduce you to one of our trusted professionals. Our panel of vetted financial advisors and mortgage brokers work with people all over Australia, so they can connect with you wherever you are. That's retireright.com.au and click Get Help.
Sue, what is up? Thanks for writing in to Retire Right. My hubby retired and draws super plus receives full age pension. That's cool. Good on him. Well done. Thank you for your service, husband, Mr. Sue. I'm 7 years younger and over 60 years old. Every couple of years, I draw around 20K from my super, which is in the accumulation phase, to pay for holidays or big items needed for our house. How best to set this up so it doesn't disrupt my hubby's current arrangements?
Good question.
I don't know. That's why you're here.
So what Sue's referring to is, and we've covered this in strategies around where there's a gap between spouses. So Sue's hubby is in pension phase, so his superannuation is an account-based pension. Sue is in accumulation phase, so she's below the age of 67. So by keeping hers in accumulation, Centrelink are not counting her super towards Mr. Sue or her husband's Centrelink thresholds, which is why he's getting a full age pension. So that's a great strategy and that's performing well. What Sue's saying is that they need a bit more than what's coming out. And so there's two ways to do that. They can just take a bit more out of hubby's super. There's a risk there that might run out before she gets to 67. And again, there's other ways around that. But the strategy they're taking is that we'll just draw out of his, we'll take the age pension, and every now and then she's taking $20,000 out of her super to pay for some costs. So how to best set it up? Can you do that? Yes, they're doing it. She's over 60, she can take lump sums. What Centrelink don't want to see is that they're happy to ignore her super in accumulation on the basis that she's not regularly living off it. So if Sue was taking a regular monthly withdrawal of $1,000, they might go, well, yes, it's an accumulation, but you're really kind of living off on a regular income stream. So by doing more ad hoc withdrawals, like Sue's suggesting $20,000, that's fine. By taking the $20,000 out, it's not income for the husband, but what Sue's doing is it's taking it out of a hidden, off the page accumulation account in her name and putting it into a bank account of $20,000. Technically, the day they do that, they should log on to the husband's Centrelink portal.
Declare it as an asset.
Our bank account was $10,000. It's now $30,000. Now, depending on how far below they are the maximum asset test, that might have no impact at all. If they're below the full cutoff, where the bank account's 10 or 30, he's not going to lose any pension. But in case they are close to that threshold, or if they are a part pensioner, technically that's what Sue should be doing to not underreport their assets for the age pension. If the day they take the $20,000 out is the same day they go to pay for the flights, well, the day that you paid for your holiday, it's gone. It's no longer an asset.
My question maybe would be, and Sue, go back to your financial advisor if you have one. Why wouldn't you just take it out of his super?
Yeah, that's what I kind of hinted at the start is that's what we would normally do, particularly if you know it's needed. Just take a bit more out of his super. Now, the risk is that he's getting a full age pension, so he might only have $300,000 in super. We don't know how much they're drawing out.
And we can assume Sue must still be working.
No.
Hubby is retired and draws super. I am 7 years younger and over 60. So, because she's obviously got the access to it.
Yeah, so she's met a condition of release to be able to access her super.
Yeah.
So, there's there. So I would probably take it out of his. The disadvantage is that what happens if he runs out at 65 of his super and because we've drawn out too much and he can't take any more?
Hers on a income stream.
So you could kick her income stream. If she has, say, $1 million, then that's why she's in accumulation, because they're legally hiding that million. So an option then is she could take out $360,000, do a non-concessional for him and just top up his income stream and do that as a one-off when he runs out or close to running out. Therefore, you're minimising any risk of accessing any out of hers on a regular basis.
And I really hope they've got a financial advisor and they have considered, recons and some razzle-dazzling, because this is important strategy bits.
Yeah. And I think they've done, at a high level, the strategy is sound, and maybe there's some tweaking there to do.
Yeah.
There's nothing wrong with taking the 20 out, but often I'd prefer to take it out of his rather than from hers.
My bigger question is, if they are self-managing this and, what are the investment pots in their super? Like, are they drawing down that $20K every week or every year rather? Is that coming just off a growth
bucket
pool So that, I don't know. I'm Sue. I'm not being harsh. I'm just a lot of the time just making entertainment.
Yeah,
and I totally respect
things to consider.
It's good that they still have hers in accumulation mode, even if they are managing it themselves, because they've been to the FIS officer.
Yeah, they've got some assistance to set this up, because it is the right thing to get set up. But I'll pick up what you just said about the underlying investments, because if they're both in just the balanced and they're drawing heavily out of it, they might be drawing 20% a year out of his, but they're drawing nearly nothing out of hers, and they're both in balance. Well, hers could probably be more aggressive because they're not touching it for 5 years, and I would argue his needs to be more conservative. So I've done this recently for a client, similar situation, and we've tweaked it so that in a similar case, the husband's older, so the husband's setup is closer to a 30% growth assets and much more in defensive because we're heavily drawing upon it, and the younger spouse is the other way around, 80 or 90% in growth assets because we're not going to touch it for 5 years. If I average them together, we're getting back to the 60-40 that they want to be in with a couple, but we know we're drawing much more from the husband, so we probably should be much more conservative to take out the month-to-month volatility, and vice versa for the wife, the younger spouse. If we know we're not accessing it for 4 or 5 years, it can ride some of those ups and downs. As long as we're disciplined to not get scared and we're working with an advisor to make sure it all is working and probably adjusting every year. Sue's getting closer to 67, but that's definitely an element to consider around this strategy as well.
Yeah. Good. All right. Chris, what is up? Any chance you could cover a case study of a fully funded retiree who is ineligible for the age pension. I'm sure this would have relevance for the growing number of Gen Xers who will likely receive little to no government support, having benefited from the superannuation scheme introduced in the early 90s. Thanks again for your podcast. P.S. If there is already a podcast that covers this topic, please let me know.
Careful what you ask for, Chris.
Careful what you wish for, young Christopher. This is episode 334 that we're recording. Coming up on episode 336 and 337, subject to change because it's not recorded right now, but it's in our schedule. Nathan Fradley, who did the episode with me on retiring and how much you need to retire and using pension and non-pension and all that, he's coming up to the studio and we're going to do one exactly what you are talking about here, Chris. How much do you need or how much can you draw down? And, forevermore, amen. We'll have some scenarios and I won't throw him under the bus now. We'll prepare it, not just share his spreadsheet that he didn't know was going to get shared. And we're going to refilm the 2 episodes, retiring with and without the pension, with a heap of assumptions. So that will be cool. Any comments on that, Martin?
I mean, lots, but no, Nathan will cover that really well. I suppose it's around how much, which is the part of that, but how much do you need? People think and see the news, do I need $1 million to retire? I need this. There's no right or wrong answer there. What I often encourage people to do is that answer is defined by what you need to spend. And ASFA, which is an Australian superannuation fund association, does a report every year about what does it cost a retiree to live and survive, and that's somewhere between a basic retirement at $50,000 a year and a comfortable up to $78,000 a year. What you need, only you can know and make certain assumptions around. That's your starting point. Because how much do I need in super to live off $40,000 a year is very different to how much do I need in super to live off $100,000 a year. So that's important to go, well, what are my budgeted expenses every year? And then we can start to reverse engineer and go, okay, well, if I need $80,000 a year, at a very simple high level, I did a video fair a few years ago, it was around the 20 times rules. And if you know about the FIRE movement and the 4% rule and different things, they're all similar concepts around this. And so each have their own rule or interpretation, but often you may need a multiple of how much you need to live off every year. I use as a measuring stick, again, depends if you're 58 or 78, but generally around 15 to 20 times what you think you need if you're going to be self-funded. So if I need $80,000 a year, I would ideally be comfortable if someone walked in with $1.6 million.
Assuming they own their home.
Assuming they own their own home, correct.
And is that depleting capital?
That's usually
to 90 or something?
With inflation and bits and pieces. They're depleting but will have money left over.
Yeah.
Because also retirement's not a straight line. No. What we're going to spend when we're young and travelling is going to be more than our passive retirement years, we call them, when we're staying at home and maybe catching up with the grandkids, but also later in life we've got healthcare costs, so it's not a straight line. So usually that is depleting, but not depleting to zero.
And I think that's the trap with a lot of people when they do online projections about wealth in retirement and how much I need to retire. There is sometimes this fear about, well, I don't want to draw the capital. But no, draw the capital, you've earned it, you've saved it, you've invested for it, and you will have a far easier retirement knowing that you are, and we taught depleting the capital, and you can probably talk to it in your projections when you have clients. If this $50,000 income from the super fund this year, 30 of it was your actual capital and 20 was the returns.
Returns, yep.
So,
yeah,
don't be afraid to use money that you've saved for, but this is a psychology game. I had people that I talked to in my circles and networks. They were in their early 70s, received an inheritance. When they looking at, putting this money to work, they were hell bent on not
growing the capital at least, not protecting it.
Protecting the capital. I'm like, and then they're thinking, we'll get a property. And I'm like, don't kill me.
Cash flow for Centrelink, yeah.
Don't kill me. You don't want to tie all the money up in a property just to keep the capital because they're going to be living on less rent. Like, I don't know. You're allowed to eat the money.
Yeah, and that's the whole super system. The government's either putting some penalties there around if you don't spend it and it goes to adult kids, there may be tax applicable, which we've discussed as obviously ways to adjust or try and reduce that. But your super is meant to be for your retirement, and the whole scheme is meant to be set up around is that you're using that and depleting that over your retirement. But the studies that are coming out and showing is that people are not. That there's more there to spend, and that's where we did an episode a while ago around like the annuities and different things to give people the confidence to spend it. But I agree with you that too many people walk in and go, I'm retiring now with 1.2. I want to make sure in 30 years' time the kids are still getting 1.2. Well, you're sacrificing your retirement and your enjoyment because what you can live off without depleting your capital is going to be a lot less than what you could live off if you did deplete the capital. 1.2 might give you 60 grand a year forever and you're not going to run out. But live off 90 grand a year for the first 15 years.
Also, F the kids, they can have the house when you die.
There's still assets there.
Yeah.
And even aged care, there's, again, aged care, you've done episodes on that, but those rules have changed as well. But there are other means to pay for that. And if you don't have it, then the government covers a large portion of it anyway that I'd be living and enjoying it. There's obviously strategies around, if I've got too much, can I split it with my wife, all those kind of things. And also back to the age pension side, there's a client that I looked after now for a while that at 67 they had way too much in terms of age pension, 1.5, 1.6 or whatever, and at that point to get a part pension it was like 800,000. And their mindset could have been, all right, well, I'm not going to spend any of it and I've got to protect and let it grow. And they've done a bit of that. The markets have done really well, but also they know that they're young and as healthy as they're ever going to be. So let's do those 2 trips a year and let's buy this and spend that money. And so over the last 8 to 10 years, those assets have depleted somewhat. They've also done some significant gifting. And it's probably in the horizon in a year or two, they might actually start to get some part pension. So just because you're self-funded at 67 or 70 doesn't mean you're going to be self-funded the whole way through.
Yeah. I just encourage people to enjoy what they've worked for. I've talked about my parents on this show a lot. You're their advisor. They've recently got their passport. We did a family trip to Bali in June. It's actually pretty funny. I'll tell you a funny story, and if they find out, sucked in. But anyway, so I and we're finished now, everyone. So log off if you're
the technical side of it's covered.
The money stuff. This is just me telling Martin a funny story, and it does speak to the psychology part, and I just want to acknowledge that. For example, $5,000 is a lot of money. But if you put $5,000 next to $1 million, what's the problem? And that's around like paying for advice and all that.
Yeah.
Anyway, so I wanted to go up to Bali for a week to work on redoing my first book, Sort Your Money Out, and I just need some deep work and do all that stuff. And I thought, I'll throw it out there. So I literally just put on Instagram, hey, I'm going to Bali this week. If anyone wants to come, there's a bit of a like lol, like any friends want to come and hang out. Anyway, my sister and my mum were like, yeah, we'll come. So we turned it into a family holiday. Yeah. And mum and dad didn't have their passports. It had lapsed years ago. I'm like, oh, cool. So they got their passports, and we, I will fully acknowledge my privilege and all that stuff, but I'll do what I want with my money. Thank you, everyone. Thank you very much. You don't have to concern yourself with how I spend my money. Yeah. But I booked the W in Seminyak.
Yeah.
Now on a good season thing, it's probably $700 a night. That's crazy expensive.
Yeah. It can seem like a lot. Yeah.
It's crazy expensive. I'm looking at hotels in London at the moment, and it's $700, $900 a night, right? So that's crazy expensive. In Bali, it's off the freaking chain. Yeah. It's off the chain. Expensive. And so mum and dad, so I'm staying at the W for the week, 6 days or whatever it was. So it's going to cost me, say, $5,000. So mum said, we talked to the travel agent. She can get us, there's a hotel just down the road. Yeah. It's very close, like a kilometre away for $2,000 for the week, which is awesome and nice. But like a kilometre in Bali, like, no. Anyway, so I said, look, book the airfares. I'll book the W. Well, I'll take care of the accommodation. So I booked the W through my Marriott Bonvoy, pay for them. And I think it was like $5 or $6 because of the seasons, right? Yeah. Because it's clipping $850 a night in peak time. And I text Mum. I was like, oh, I've got a deal for you at the I got the hotel organised. She's like, oh, sweet, how much? And I'll transfer you the money. And I said, oh, I ended up getting it for $2,000. I just copped the three. Like, I don't care. Come at, like, because my sister was staying there with her husband and the kids. I'm like, how awesome is it to have brekkie together? We're all hanging around and it's beautiful. It's ridiculously expensive.
Yeah.
And that's the dance. Like, I'm not going to tell them you have to spend $5,000 for the week and stay here because that's a lot of money and you'd have a stroke spending that. But I'm like, nah, stuff here. I'll organise it. I just want you guys to be here.
Yeah, it's good.
And it was a great time. But now we're kind of joking with Dad and calling him the travel blogger because he's now looking at things and they're doing a cruise and he wants to go to Thailand now. And
he's got his passport, so he's ready
that's
to go.
right. So it was just that in their mind, getting the passport, too much trouble because money's not their problem. Health isn't their problem. They're healthy. They're early 70s. They're fine. And it's just like, you got the money. Let's maybe spend it a bit.
But that psychology of never spent that much on a room or a night or whatever.
Yeah.
But also in terms of that, like those memories for them, but also for you and for their grandkids and that kind of stuff. Like
for me, it was worth $3,000.
Yeah.
Whatever.
Yeah.
Like
for sure.
So anyway, just a bit of fun there for what it's worth. And hopefully, I hope they don't find out because I don't think they listen to this, but...
Oh, if they've got this far in the episode, probably
that's right.
Not,
yeah,
so.
We did it at the end. So, but
I think that is live your life, enjoy your retirement, spend it on yourselves or spend it on your family,
and know that a kilometre on the map in Bali is probably a 50-minute drive. My name's Glen James, joined by Martin McGrath. Thanks for listening today. You've been real. I've been Glen. If you want to join the Facebook group, remember to put episode 334. We heard Glen and Martin on 334. Then we know you're not spam. We'll see you soon, Martin. Bye.
Perfect. Thank you.
Any advice is general financial advice only, which does not take into account your objectives, financial situation, or needs. Because of that, you should consider if the advice is appropriate to you and your needs before acting on the information. If you do choose to buy a financial product, read the Product Disclosure Statement, PDS, and Target Market Determination, TMD, and obtain appropriate financial advice tailored to your needs. Simo Interactive, Pty Ltd, and Glen James are authorised representatives of Money Sherpa Pty Ltd, which holds Financial Services Licence 451289. Martin McGrath, Financial Edge Group, and its employed financial advisors are authorised representatives of Synchron Advice, AFSL 243313. Opinions or comments from any guest on the podcast are theirs, and not those of the hosts, the publisher, or their respective licence holders.